Welcome, everybody, to the Shutter Hustle podcast. Today, we have a very special guest on the episode. We are going to talk planning. We're going to talk coordinating. We're going to talk everything that goes behind the scenes when planning your grand event. Now, before we move forward, I want to say thank you again to all the listeners that have been tuning in the last couple of weeks and giving us shout outs and sharing the episode on their social media. It really means a lot to me when people are actually listening in and giving me feedback. And it just it's motivating me to keep going. But as I want to go ahead and get the show started, we're going to introduce our very special guest. Coming in today, her name is Viviana Vasquez.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. We're glad that you're here. And you are what? Who are you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Viviana. Everyone calls me Vivi, so you can call me Vivi. I am a wedding planner. I do full planning and I do day of coordinator. I also do quinceañeras. I do choreography as well. But yeah, and I'm a full-time mom.
Nice. I had no idea that you were a choreographer.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that. Maybe you could show me some moves for my TikTok videos. No, but we're excited to have you on the show today, just because I feel today it's very important to talk about the subject of coordinating for the day of events. And we're going to drill into what it takes to become a coordinator and how long you've been doing it, what you recommend for our listeners and, potential people that want to become coordinators. But before we dive in, let's get to know you a little bit more. So tell us, where are you from?
So originally, I was born in Costa Rica, in Central America.
Nice.
I came when I was 6 years old with my mom and my dad. So I do have my immigrant story.
Okay.
So it's been quite a journey, coming to the States, not knowing any English. I was that little girl.
Okay.
That sat in the classroom and did not understand anything that the teacher was saying. I survived school through two girls, which I still talk to one of them. They were my translators. So they were the ones who helped me with everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my little story. I've been here ever since. But like they say, La India Maria, ni de aquí, ni de allá.
There you go. There you go. That's awesome.
So I...
That's an interesting story because I had no idea that you were from Costa Rica. Have you been back to visit?
Yes, I have. I have my papers now. So yeah.
Oh, good. No, well, I mean, I know people that go to other foreign countries and don't have papers and they come back, but that's a whole conversation, not part of this podcast, but when was the last time that you went back to visit?
I think it was maybe 9 years ago.
Okay.
It's expensive, especially when you have kids.
Okay.
And just finding the time to go and, with my job and everything and now with planning. So it takes good planning to go. So hopefully in the future here in the next couple of years, we can go and visit my family.
What part of Costa Rica that you?
San Jose. So I'm from the city.
Okay, you're from the city. So I don't know very much by Costa Rica. My father's from Guatemala. My mom's from El Salvador.
Oh, okay.
I visited once when I was very, very young. El Salvador. Now Guatemala in my teens, but we're planning to go back eventually. I want to take the kids to go explore. So outside of that is either Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador, and that's the furthest south I've gone.
Oh, okay. So we're in between Nicaragua and Panama.
Okay.
So we're on the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far are you guys from the ocean?
I don't know. I haven't been. Well, growing up there, I came when I was 6, so
okay.
I remember a lot, but geography, don't ask me.
Okay, what is like their common comida típica that they have in
Gallo pinto.
Oh, what is that?
It is white rice mixed with black beans.
Okay.
And you eat it like for breakfast. You can eat it for lunch, dinner, whatever. but it's called gallo pinto.
Gallo pinto. You can never go wrong with rice and beans.
No, you can't.
No matter what
That's our
culture.
survival kit.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah, yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. Any culture that you go to, or you listen, you hear, what kind of their plates of choice are. It includes rice and includes beans. Same thing with us. So I can get the flow of gallo pinto. Is it hard to make, or is it just that,
No,
or
it's not. It's all in the ingredients that you add, like maybe some bell peppers or onions and stuff like that. But it's not hard to make.
nice,
No.
nice. Maybe after the episode, we're gonna cut this episode short today, and we're gonna go make some gallo pinto. No, I'm just kidding. That's interesting. So you migrated over here when you said 3 years old?
No, I was 6.
Oh, 6 years old.
Yes.
And then ever since then, you've visited a couple times.
Yes.
Do your kids ask, or have your kids been?
Yeah, my girls have been.
Okay.
Yeah, they were really young, but we enjoyed the time that we were there. They got to meet my side of the family because my immediate family, we all live here, but like my tios, my tias, my cousins, they all live over there. So they got a little glimpse of the house that I grew up in and my family and everything. So it was nice.
Nice. So you mentioned you have girls. So
Yes.
you have a family. How old are your girls?
Okay, so I have a 17-year-old. She's
Okay.
going to be 18.
Okay.
Her name's Naomi. Then I have Genesis. She's 16. And I have a little boy. He's 8 months.
8 months. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And I gained
Congratulations.
another daughter. I have a stepdaughter. She just turned 18.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Nice. Congratulations on your newborn.
Yes.
I'm guessing it's hard coming back onto the field, having a
Yes.
newborn.
Yeah. Well, a little backstory about it. So I actually worked till I was 9 months pregnant.
Wow.
Maybe 4 days before I went into labor. So
4 days,
4
girl.
days.
Why didn't you just take a break and say, this baby's about to come? I feel it, or
Oh my goodness. It was helpful, like physically.
Yeah.
Because I needed to be active.
Okay.
And, when you're at that stage where, you're 9 months, you're like you get antsy and trying to do a lot of things and stuff. So it helped me out a lot. And it was a quinceañera.
Okay.
So I was dancing.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. And even after postpartum,
Really?
a week after I had my son, I had an event. So I had to be there for my clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how passionate I am.
Good. That's awesome. That's good that your clients could depend on you, especially when you're about to pop,
Yeah.
and you're a week or two after postpartum and you're back at it on the field and dancing and coordinating. How long have you been a coordinator? Or
So, business-wise, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 3 here in July. So
Okay.
I'm excited. But in event planning total, it's been 9 years.
9 years.
Yes.
Okay. Is this your full time?
No,
No.
I have a full-time job
Okay.
on top of this,
Okay.
which I'm praying. Hopefully soon I'll be able to do this full-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do? You don't have to name the company you work for, but what?
I went into the corporate world.
Okay.
So I'm in HR.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How long you been doing that for, or with this company?
So I've been with this company for a couple months. I started in August
Okay.
Last year.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Why HR though? I mean,
Well, during the time is because I was looking for something remote
Okay.
to stay home with my son because that's what I really wanted to do this time around because I didn't get that opportunity with my girls.
yeah.
And actually through being a planner, that's how I found my job.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Really? So you met somebody out at an event that?
So it was my friends now. We have a great friendship now. They're owners of a venue in Rockwall. So his wife, I reached out to her. I was like, hey, are you hiring for any stay-home jobs? And she's like, yeah, give me your resume. I'll put a good word in for you. And and they really liked me and I fit
Nice.
the position. So that's where I've been.
Okay. That's good. And so they're flexible with
Yes.
your current role, and I mean, obviously that's a priority, not a priority, but it's your current job in the corporate world in
Yeah.
HR, and you're doing the coordinating on the side.
Yeah.
How, and with a newborn, how do you balance all of this?
You know, to be honest with you, it's the Lord. He has been so good to me. He's the one who helps me
Yeah.
stay sane and organized. It's hard, but I mean, I really got to give credit to the Lord because He's the one who guides me and to do everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I sit and ask myself, like, how in the heck do I do this?
Right.
He's the one who gives me strength, and yeah, that's how it's been. It's crazy sometimes because I work full time. Then after that, I'm still working,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time taking care of my son, taking care of house duties, husband, kids, everything. So
Wow.
yeah. But what I really love about this company is that they're aware that I have my business.
Okay.
So it's to the point that, I had talked to them. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I have clients that have booked with me a year in advance, and I'm going to have to ask for a couple of days off. So flexible.
Yeah.
So flexible. So I'm really, really blessed where I'm at.
Good. Nice. Nice. I think that means a lot of a company as
Yeah.
far as, respecting, if you're upfront with them
Yeah.
from the beginning, telling them, hey, this is what I do as a side hustle or my side business. And they're willing to work with you because before I left the corporate world, I also I've been doing this for 10 years now. And when I left, I had to be straight up with them because they wanted to put me working on weekend shifts. And I'm like, I can't work weekends, especially when I have events lined up and clients already, booked me to be there. And I can't be like, hey, I can't show up to your wedding because my boss is making me work this week. Right. So it's very important to be upfront with them. And some employers may not, be okay with it. And you just got to figure out what's best for what you want. Right.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that they're being very flexible with your schedule. Especially, with the newborn and everything else on top of that, it doesn't, add extra stress or pressure to you.
It's so laid back too, because like I'm in meetings a lot during the week. So he's right there next to me. So they all know, and they actually enjoy seeing him in our meetings. Yeah.
Okay. So baby's part of the
part of the team. Yeah.
Part of the team. Is he on the payroll too?
He needs to.
Might as well, right?
Right.
That's awesome. And what does your husband think about, your role as a coordinator?
So he actually was the reason I started. He was the one who told me to pursue because he saw that I was in my little happy place.
Okay.
So it all started with when I decided it was a really close friend of mine reached out to me. She was like, hey, Vivi, hey, can you be my coordinator? And I was like, for your wedding? Really? She was like, yeah, I know you're good at this. I know you've done this for a long time. I really need your help. I was like, yeah, awesome. So that's how I started. And, my husband was just the one that kept pushing me and motivating me, saying, man, babe, you need to do this. This is something that you are really good at. People need to see what you can bring to the table, how you take care of them and everything. And even on the day of my friend's wedding, my husband went and my kids too, because I was working, but I was still a guest.
Right. Yeah.
But I fully stayed in my role as a coordinator.
Okay.
So he was just watching me the whole time. And when we got home that night, he was like, I believe in you. You need to do this. And I was like, are you sure? It's a lot. It's starting a business. He was like, go ahead, do it. I'm going to support you and everything. So he was my assistant for a while.
Nice.
But then he got promoted
Nice.
to be a babysitter.
Well, shout out to the husband.
Yes, shout out to my baby. He's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. So he saw your potential. He saw that you were in your element and backed you up 100%.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what about your girls?
My girls, well, they're teenagers.
All right. So why can't you bring them to work with you? I don't know. If you heard my episode 1, they could, you could pay them. It could be a write-off.
So I am going to start bringing my girls. I didn't for a while because they're gonna be stuck on their phones even if I take it away. And but I'm slowly bringing them in because it's a lot of
Right.
responsibility. And they would be there like to help me like to set up and stuff like
Right.
that. But yeah, it's
Teenagers nowadays, they could do more of the BTS.
yeah.
They could film you in action, and that'd be content for you.
I tried, and all they do is laugh. Mom, you're so old. You're
Oh
so
no, don't
cringy. I
say
was like,
that.
really? I was like, come on. You need to help me with my Instagram because I have no clue what I'm doing. And they just laugh. They try to do it and then they start laughing. I was like, you know what? Okay, whatever. I'll just figure it out myself.
Oh my goodness. Well, kids nowadays, I even try to take my kids too, and I have to bribe them and pay them.
Yeah.
I mean, I pay them, what they're per the hour,
Yeah.
So if I see them sitting down doing nothing, then I don't pay
Yeah.
them.
And then food and cake.
Yeah.
that could do it.
Oh yes. Yeah, that's the selling point for me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So where are you based out of?
So I live in Garland, so I'm
Okay.
based off of Garland.
Okay.
Yes.
And you coordinate anywhere and everywhere?
Yes. Majority of all the events that I've done is at the Springs.
Springs? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Why the Springs? I'm curious why.
So at first it was just that's the place that everyone's getting married.
Okay.
And I started reaching out to them to be part of their open house. So now it's like I'm part of their preferred vendors list. So that's how I've been getting a lot of my clients through the Springs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Just because a lot of, as me as a photographer, I don't do a lot of venue open houses.
Oh.
I try to get into it, but either I'm booked the day that they have events, or it's just not me.
Yeah.
But I hear that that's a place, or that's something that it's recommended for get into those open houses.
Yeah.
What is your experience, especially with the Springs? Do you see the clients that come in, or the potential, clients that come in, do you see them reaching out to you more for coordinating services, or is it worth your time? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, it is and it isn't at the same time, to be honest. As a coordinator, not a lot of people see the importance of needing a coordinator. Like you can't compare my job to yours, like photography. Photography, I totally recommend for an open house. But a lot of people are now starting to see the importance of having a coordinator. But like, for instance, I just went to an open house in January. So out of a handful of people that came to my table, I was able to book two weddings. So I mean, it's a win-win situation, but like more in the planning profession, it's a little bit, you can't compare it because not a lot of people believe like, oh, I don't need nobody. No, I can do it myself. But that's why my job is, to educate my couples like through Instagram and through TikTok, whatever, like the importance, because you need someone to be there because you can't be, a bride and trying to greet the vendors or talk to the catering company or where's my cake lady or, stuff like that. So, that's what my job is. And I really got to put myself out there and educate these couples. And even for quinceañeras too, I'm starting to see a lot of people reaching out to me just to do day of coordinator.
Okay.
So it helps out so much in the families because typically you see the mom or the tia running around and then, you're trying to get ready at the same time. And it's like people are starting to see that it's so important to have a coordinator for your event.
Yeah. And we're going to definitely get more into the workflow and the why. We recommend, and I'm sorry, there's a car in the background. I apologize. And we're going to cut that out. So, yes, I'm going to go back to what I was saying. I see the importance of why of it is having a day of coordinator or just a planning coordinator for the entire event. And we'll get into the flow of why and then your recommendations and all the tips that I see that you put on social media. But before we keep moving forward, you mentioned that your specialty is more of quinceañeras and weddings, correct?
Yes.
Which out of the two do you see yourself getting more clients booked?
Weddings.
Okay.
My first, I say my first love because that's where I started was quinceañeras. I was the person that they would reach out like, hey, can you do my choreography? That's how I started was quinceañeras. But it's a lot of work.
Okay.
It's a lot of work, but I see myself doing more weddings.
Yeah.
That's actually what I prefer.
Okay.
But I still offer that service for quinceañeras.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about venues. I know you said the Springs is one of your preferred vendor. You're on the preferred vendor list. Out of all the venues, or let me start off with this question: which is the furthest venue that you've gone out to, either in Dallas, in Fort Worth, outside of the area?
Leonard, Texas, which is actually an hour away. Trying to think.
It's Leonard? How was the venue? Can you describe it? Is it a barn style or?
Yes, it's more like a farmhouse.
Farmhouse.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Roy City, but Roy City's not that far.
Yeah. That's down the street.
Yeah.
And so at a wedding event, which event have you had the most guests at? Like, what's the top number of guests that you've had to plan
Maybe
for?
250.
Okay. Okay. So the bigger the event, the crazier it is, do you think? Or like not crazy, but the more chaotic, more things moving, more moving parts going on at the same time?
Yes and no. It just all depends what kind of package they get. If it's just day coordinator, it doesn't make a difference how many guests. But everyone comes to the coordinator for everything. So
Okay.
I'm not only there for the couple, but for the families too, for the
Right.
guest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, what are some instances that a family member have come to you? Like, what are their requests?
Either they want to take a picture with for me to get the photographer, or DJ request,
Okay.
or there's no toilet paper in the
Oh
bathroom.
my goodness.
I didn't get cake, or just little things like that.
You're definitely a people manager the day
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
because there's so many different vendors that you have to make sure that you're in sync with
Yes.
to make sure the event is a seamless transition from the intro to the food to everything that goes from start to from beginning to end, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what about choreography? Let's talk a little bit about your dancing skills. How can we see you? Where do we see you on TikTok? Do you dance on TikTok? Or
No, I don't. No, I don't.
No, I'm just
too embarrassed.
okay. What got you into the choreography? Or I guess tell us a little bit more about that.
So, it actually started with my quinceañera.
With your
We hired a choreographer, and I didn't like the steps. So I was like, no, can we change it up? And I was like, okay, well, we're doing this. Okay. But that's kind of how I started. And then just when I used to serve in a youth at my church. So a lot of the quinceañeras, I don't know how it came. Like, hey, do you know how to do choreography? I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, can you do mine? I'm like, yeah. So it just kind of started like that and kind of spread around, and like, okay.
so now is that like an add-on package or component that you add to your services, or
Yes.
is it automatically like, we book Vivi for my planning, you automatically get my coordinating
No,
dancing skills?
I do I do separate,
Okay.
just depending on the needs of the family.
Okay.
Some people, especially nowadays, because a lot of people like to hire the cadets.
Yes.
I don't have my own cadets.
Okay.
But I've worked with cadets before. They typically, like, either they just want choreography or they just want day of. But yeah, that's usually how, just depending on the need of what they want for their day.
Okay. All right. So That just happened. Um, so we're talking about coordinating. That's an add-on package. Now, describe a time when you obviously have to deal with teenagers, preteens, trying to get them to learn dance moves. How difficult is that to get them on the same page?
So I've been very lucky that the kids are actually excited about dancing. Majority of them, they already come prepared.
Really?
Yeah, I think the most difficult one that I've done was a couple. Well, actually, it's been maybe like 6, 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to work with little kids. I think the smallest one, a couple, they were 6 or 7 years old. The quinceañera wanted the little kids to be in the dance,
Right.
and it was difficult. But at the same time, it's like, okay, with kids, you have to know that their attention span is very short. So we had to do a lot of breaks. Snacks. I told the mom, you're bringing snacks. That's how we're going to be rewarding them.
Yeah.
But that's the most difficult. But no, I've been lucky to have really good groups of kids. A lot of times, too, I just get the quinceañera and the chambalan. I've done choreography with just the damas.
Okay.
So I've done with couples too, but yeah, that I think that was the most difficult one. It was challenging, but I managed,
Right.
and snacks are the key when
Okay.
it comes to smaller kids.
And that's for the quinceañeras. What about for weddings? Do you?
I don't do choreography for weddings. I've been asked, but I don't. When it comes to weddings, I rather focus more on planning their event, or if it's just day of coordinator. I don't want to mix it because it's just, to me, it when it's your first dance, it doesn't need to be like a choreography unless the couple wants it. But I don't want to extend that service because it's another expense that the couple is going to have.
Okay.
So I always tell them, YouTube is really good because I love helping couples save money. So it's like for a quinceañera, it's completely different because you're used to the vals, the surprise dance.
Yeah.
You don't see that in a wedding.
Right.
But a lot of couples are starting to want to do something fun with their significant other and stuff. But yeah, I try not to mix it.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting to know. Just because I have seen, first
Yeah.
dance, it's a regular first dance, and then they'll come back and they'll do more of a choreographed dance.
Yeah.
And those are cool, So
Yeah.
I just wondered if you offered that service for our listeners in case, they have.
I'm going to get a phone call. Can you do my first dance?
Yeah, no, but I'm glad to know that you do that for quinceañeras.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the choreography, do you normally bring all the ideas, or do you kind of let the kids, hey, this is what I want to be propelled in the air, yeah, with the cloud of smoke around me? Like, what's that workflow look like?
So typically what I've done in the past is actually ask the quinceañera, is there a theme that you want to stick to? Is there like a certain artist that you like? We could get the DJ to do a mix for you and stuff like that. So I let them choose. Now, is it something that I'm going to continue? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to start choosing my own songs, giving ideas, still letting them decide. But when it comes to music selection, I'm going to start selecting the music.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know because I've heard some music that it sounds like they either mixed it up themselves, cut it up themselves. You see that a lot,
yeah.
And
you
it
see
just
that a lot.
It throws them off because they don't know where the cutting begin. It's not like a seamless mix.
Yeah. So you would need a producer for that. And I learned that because of my friends in the DJ world.
Okay.
Not everyone can do that because there's certain, equipment that they need and stuff. Some do, but it's a lot of work. So they try to avoid it. So in that area, I actually found someone that I'm going to be giving them the songs, and they're gonna be the producers of it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Nice.
it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and but the end product, just seeing the kids
Yeah.
just having fun. Well, we worked a
We
quinceañera
did.
together.
We
If you
did.
only knew how like the struggle it was with,
Yes.
because the when it comes to choreography, it's like girls are more dependable.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
dependable. But yeah, I mean, just watching them having fun and just seeing them light up, when they're dancing, they're all nervous, but then I tell them, you just get in the groove. Right when you're out there, you're just you're going to be nervous, but man, it's going to go away. You just have fun with it. You just keep on
Yeah.
smiling.
Yeah. So for the listeners, Vivi and I, we worked a quinceañera at the beginning of the year. Um, I did not know that she was a coordinator. I show up and I'm doing my thing. I'm getting detail shots, and the quinceañera's done with her hair and makeup, and she disappears. And I'm like, where is she? Because I wanted to do details of her before she got dressed, because I knew we were on a time limit.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around the venue, and then next thing I know, I see Vivian around the dance floor coordinating, the kids and doing everything. I'm like, okay. So I had no idea until that day that you were a coordinator, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome, because
Yeah.
not only were you in touch or in tune with the dancing, but you're also in tune with everything else that
Yeah.
was going on that day.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those that we had to get stage the tables,
Yeah.
the core, everything else that goes behind the scenes. And I saw you running around all over the place in a good way, not stressed out, but I saw you, managing things because you knew we're on timeline. And I was very impressed of the way you
Thank
presented
you.
yourself, because if it wasn't for you, then it would have been like not chaotic, but it would have been a little bit more hectic, like trying to
Yeah.
keep everything with a flow.
Yeah.
Right. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you did that day, because it was going to
Thank
be
you.
not a difficult day, but it was going to be a harder event to
Yeah.
manage. Right. So before we move on to the next piece of the conversation, what gets you motivated, or what keeps you motivated in weddings or quinceañeras? Why do you keep doing what you do?
I think just having the privilege to be part of something so important. For weddings, it's like it's a big day. They're getting married, and just knowing that they're putting their trust in me in something so important, that's what gets me going. And the day of just watching them all dressed up and just walking down the aisle, just all of those little moments, that's what really gets me. Like, this is what I love. This is it to me. I see it as serving others, and just being there, just kind of like it fills my heart. It really does. And like for quinceañera is the same thing. The biggest moment to me where I look and I'm like, wow, I'm a part of something so special, is when the quinceañeras are dancing with their dad.
Yes.
That moment right there for me, it's just, it melts my heart. It just makes me think about, like, no matter what we went through the planning, like no
Right.
matter the stressful times or anything, it was all worth it. Just watching the parents just enjoy the day and just being happy and dancing and chit chatting, taking pictures and everything. Just, looking like, how do I explain? Like an outer body experience, like
Yeah.
you see in shows and stuff like that.
Yep.
Just kind of watching everything, the families and that's just what really gets me going. Just watching those moments and being a part of that. Like, man, I was able to help them. I was able to serve them and just be there for them throughout the way.
And I think what you're saying, it's you have to have the special talent and patience to
Yeah.
do what you do. Just because it's a big responsibility the
Yeah.
day of, right? And the key words that I hear you say is that you want to see parents or the bride and groom enjoy their day, right? You mentioned earlier that sometimes you got the tío and the tías trying to coordinate everything, and they always go either to the parents or to the bride and groom. Que donde está el DJ? Que donde
Yeah.
está el pastel? Where's everything else? And so that adds extra stress to the couples or the parents of the quinceañera. And every single time I work in an event that there is a coordinator, it's like a blessing in the sky.
Yeah.
Because as a photographer, sometimes I have to make sure I don't miss important shots, right? And I have a videography team that I have to make sure that they don't miss any important shots or the important moments. And sometimes when, unfortunately, there's no coordinator or planner for the day, I have to take in that role myself.
Yeah.
Because if nobody's there to tell us, hey, at 6:00 is the grand entrance, at 7 is dinner. You know what I mean? I have to make sure I stay within the timeline.
Yeah.
Because then those moments will come and go, and it's not like I can say, "Hey, time out! I didn't get the first kiss, or I didn't get the entrance. Let's redo that." Right? And with DJs, also, I have to be in communication with them.
Yeah.
So having a planner kind of eliminates me from doing all that and having that added extra pressure on top. And it's just like, yes, there's a coordinator. Because they're gonna manage everything. And the day that we worked together, it was just like, okay, photographer, you ready? And I was like,
Give me a thumbs up.
yeah, give me a thumbs up. Or no, give me 3 minutes. Okay, cool, I'll give you 5. And like, yes, because again, it relieves some of that stress.
Yeah.
And then you try to you make sure that everything falls in line.
Yes.
You're communicating with me, you're communicating with the DJ, and then you're relaying everything with the parents.
We're the 3 components.
Yes.
In an event, no matter if it's a wedding or a quinceañera, the 3 of us, like, we have to be on the same page.
Right. You have to be synchronized. If not, then I could be outside taking pictures, of the building or details. And then here come the bride and groom already. And like, wait a minute.
Oh, the horror stories that I get, the horror stories from...
All right, tell us. No names.
Okay,
Just tell
no
us
names. So one of my DJ friends, he told me that he was at a wedding, and he texted me during the wedding, Vivi, oh my gosh, I wish you were here. I had to do everything myself, and it was so chaotic. And there was a time where he was explaining that they had got the sparklers, like, for the dance.
Okay.
And the photographers didn't know. They didn't know, so they missed the shot. So the DJ had to take pictures with his phone to capture that moment.
Right.
So it's like, my job, like, as a coordinator, that's why communication is the key.
Right.
When we work together, I told you, give me a thumbs up, because I'm not going to transition to the next thing until cameras are ready. And that is one thing that I tell all my clients. Like, your DJ and your photographer, I have to talk to them. I have to meet with them, because we're important. If we're not in sync that day, it's like, you don't want to miss that shot, like for the cake.
Right.
I typically don't like for the DJ to announce the cake. The reason why, it's because when you announce the cake, you see a crowd of people at the cake table. You see cell phones, and and you don't want to ruin a shot for a photographer. So I always tell, like, my clients, we're not going to announce for the cake. We are just going to take you and the photographer and let them do their thing. Once you guys are done, then we'll announce, okay, if you want cake, or if they're passing out the cake. I don't like to announce the cake cutting for those reasons.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot to us, and any photographer out there listening, they understand that those moments are key, especially when you have, like you said, people with their cell phones. Or you have the Theo that, is trying to become a photographer, and he's, getting your shot.
Oh my God.
I don't mind them. You know what I mean? I tell him, hey, let me take my shot first, and then I'll let you do your thing, right? But having that piece where like, okay, let's kind of get them on the side by themselves, or. And
I mean, it's even to the point that I've been at an event that I had to assist the photographer because, there was a list given for certain shots that they wanted, and we had to call out names. And then I saw the photographer doing it. I'm like, wait a minute, no, give me the list. And we had to work together. So I kept calling the names of the families or whatever. She took the picture, and, we had to knock it off really quick. There's been times that we've had people bring professional cameras as well, trying to take pictures, and, being in the industry for a while, it's like you don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's like telling them like, hey, let the photographer go first and then you can go. So it's little things like that
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know, and I always love to help my photographer buddies.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that means I can go up to you and tell you, hey, that person over there is getting in front of my shot. And in my way. You're going to go tell them, hey, move.
No.
Move.
Yeah.
We'll get you the pictures. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So we did talk about, how you started. You do choreography, you do planning and day of event.
Yes.
One of the things that I noticed that you also show up to the portrait sessions.
Yeah, so that service, I only do it for full planning.
Okay.
The reason why is because for like instance for the brides, I take my emergency kit. I take hairspray. I take whatever you think the bride might need for them just to feel more comfortable, because a lot of times, a lot of my clients, they don't know the photographer. So me being present there, even holding like a prop, or for quinceañeras, the ramo, or fluffing her dress, it's just a service that I like to do, because I want them to feel comfortable and just being there for them, because when it's full planning, it's like it's from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's just something that, I want them to know, like, I'm going to be there. Like, I'm going to help. Like, if the quinceañera needs to get in her dress, I help her get in the dress, or if they're changing outfits and stuff like that. So it's just for my full planning couples and for quinceañeras that I do go for the photo session.
Nice. So, and that helps me transition into my next, part of the conversation. In your service, right, you mentioned that you offer the only in your full planning, but let's just say I'm only hiring you for the day of. Explain to me a little bit what the day of coordinating or planning involves.
So basically is gathering all the details, making sure. So I have two different ones. I have month of and day of.
Okay.
When they just need someone just to do time management and just to create the timeline and stuff like that. But to be quite honest with you, what is really needed is the month of, because there's so much preparation when it comes to just being the day of coordinator. You have to get all the vendors' information.
Okay.
The way that I work, all of my vendors, even if you do drop off like a throne chair or the marquise letters, or cake, whatever, everyone's gonna get a timeline. Everyone's gonna get a floor plan. Why? Because like I said, communication is very important. No matter what part you're in, I like everyone to know what their job is that day. So it's very important to gather all that information for my clients, because I am going to be the point of contact for them. Even when it comes to another thing that I do help my couples, or even quinceañeras, like some vendors let them pay the day of the event. So I don't let my couples be pulled to make any payments. I tell them, put it in a sealed envelope. Whoever you owe, I distribute those payments for them. Because I've seen like weddings, not that I've coordinated, but that I've been to, like friends, you see the groom going quickly to go pay the DJ, or, that's the service that I like to provide for them when it comes to even day coordinator, because you want them to enjoy the day. I mean, I'm going to be the point of contact, communicating with the catering. I mean, everything, all the information that you have to gather so the day can go perfect for them. Even to the efficient, everyone gets a timeline from me. So everyone that's worked with me could say, oh yeah, we received a timeline. Yes.
I can attest to that. Yes.
Yeah.
I think our communication was very, very full.
Yeah.
I think emails and text, because like you mentioned, your three people that you communicate most the day of is the DJ, the photographer, and your clients, right? Whether it's the parents or the couple.
Yeah.
And just the communication back and forth, like, hey, this is what we're planning, or we're thinking about doing a photo session at this time.
Yeah.
Is that going to be enough time?
I had the golden hour on
Yeah.
my timeline.
Yeah. This is like, you do your research to like,
Yeah.
this is golden hour. This is what I'm going to block off for
Yeah.
for the photo session. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're definitely in tune
Yeah.
with your
And I mean,
timelines.
the investment that the couples and the parents, like for quinceañeras, the investment that they have for the photographers, like you have to respect their time.
Yeah.
You have to, because they're paying a lot for these important, details and shots that you guys are taking. So that's why I add the golden hour or anything. So I even call the photographers. I remember talking to you on the phone too.
Yeah.
Just kind of going over one thing too, that I always require a meeting with my DJs and the couples. Like we have to. We go over the timeline, even to the point like what type of style of music they want to be played in the background during the dinner and stuff like that. So my timelines are very detailed.
Yes. Which is very important.
Yes.
So what I hear you say is it's important for your DJs and your photographers to be in sync with the coordinator,
Yes.
and for let the coordinator kind of manage the flow of the
Yeah.
event, and then just be in open communication with them.
Yeah. And I'm really flexible too, like, because I mean, we've been to so many events where like we have to make last minute changes. Like we have to move a couple things up. Like maybe guests are leaving early and we're doing a stage grand exit, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's always important. But I'm very flexible with my vendors. I'm not always like, hey, look at the time,
Yeah.
So I'm very flexible because, I mean, to be honest with you, once all the important stuff is out the way, it's like, we can relax and
Yes.
kind of enjoy and just be there, for
Right.
the whatever else that they need and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Now, explain to us, once your couples book you for the full service, right, from the moment that they agree and sign a contract with you, kind of walk us through what is your workflow from the beginning until the day of? Like, how many communications do you have, meetings? What do you manage as far as your services?
So for full planning, it's basically from start to finish.
Okay.
I meet with the couple. The most important thing is a budget.
Okay.
I always ask them what the budget and what the guest count is, because the guest count is what's going to determine your budget. It's going to determine everything when it comes to catering, when it comes to decorating, because you need to know how many tables that need to be decorated. But most important, it's budget. So we go over all of that. We go over the vision of what they want their event, what their wants and their needs, and things like that. It's very important because I want them to be able to have the wedding of their dreams.
Right.
But I always tell my couples, do you have the budget for it? Is that within the budget? If you want it, okay, we'll get it. We'll contact them. We'll book them and everything. But typically, I'm the one who refers vendors for my clients. Sometimes what I do, once they book with me, I give them a preferred vendors list. I always tell them no strings attached. I tell them, go to their Facebook, research, go to their website. If you like any of them, these are people that I trust, that I recommend, that I've worked with before. If you have someone already in mind, just let me know and I'll contact them for you and stuff like that. So I also have meetings where, if we need to go look for the venue, we set up the meetings, cake tasting, food tasting, all those good things.
Yes.
So I'm basically there. There's even been times that I had a bride once last year. They just barely moved from California. She didn't have any family. And I went with her to go look for her dress.
Oh.
So, I mean, those are little perks that I get just to help them out and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work, from finding the vendors, creating a timeline, looking at their budget, meetings, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of components that it comes to planning a whole wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you did say one of the key words that I wanted to touch base on, and that's the tasting. What is your favorite style of food that you've tasted as far as main meal? And then we're going to ask you for the desserts.
Okay. So believe it or not, the best one was tacos de birria.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay.
They were my favorite. You don't typically see that. You don't. So I was very excited. I love when I have clients that want to do something outside of the box, something that you don't typically see. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, almost every wedding, they have a chicken with pasta and veggies.
All right.
So that's what you typically see at a wedding. So I always tell my clients, hey, I always give them suggestions like, oh, okay, so what do you think about this? Oh, or what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Another one was
And
prime
then
rib.
you try to push it more
Yeah.
towards, like, let's go towards the tacos.
Yeah, let's go. And then they did the tacos and they did chile rellenos.
Ooh.
Oh, they were so
Do they have
delicious.
a photographer? Yeah, so that way you can, I'll give you a discount for referring me.
Right. So yeah, and then for cake, I mean that is the best thing.
Why do you think I'm in the business?
Right. Oh my gosh. That my two favorite things are always food tasting and cake tasting with my couples. Yeah.
Nice. The food tasting is one of your favorite parts of being the coordinator, right?
Yes.
What is the most difficult task that you have to do of coordinating? Dealing with the DJs, dealing with the photographers.
No, more with when they have a banda
Okay.
or mariachi.
Okay.
It's very difficult sometimes because they are booked. Like, for instance, like mariachis, they're there for the hour. So it's like we have to be on time when it comes to mariachis. If not, like, if like, for instance, like, typically it's like 2 hours that you book a mariachi. So once they arrive, it's like a consistency that they have to do. They can't stop.
Right.
And then play within an hour. So it's always very difficult when it comes to that because I have to add it on the timeline. And then a dinner is not for 2 hours. You don't see dinners for 2 hours anymore. Typically, you see it for an hour.
Yeah.
So it's always letting my couple know and educating them. And with the banda, it's like I have to work with not only the banda, but the DJ as well, because they have to work together. Like for instance, I had a wedding in December that they had a banda that came from out of town. And we had to coordinate like with the DJ. So an hour for the DJ and then an hour for the banda. So I think it's very, it's difficult sometimes because when it comes to the mariachis, like they're there for that hour. They're booked. They can't sit there and wait. And they'll leave. They'll leave once their hour or 2 hours are over, and stuff like that. So that's one of the difficult ones. Another one is like budget. When they have a certain budget, but they're asking for something that's not within the budget.
Right.
So I always tell my couples either we hire somebody or we DIY it.
Okay.
Do it yourself. So either, for instance, like for centerpieces. So I always educate my clients. I always tell them, you want floral arrangements. The flower industry, man, it's expensive.
Yes, it is.
So I always tell my couples like, okay, so what we can do like, for instance, an example, it's like, let's say they have 20 tables. We can do 10 tables with floral arrangements and then 10 tables with flip fillers. Fillers, I call them like candles, or if they want to incorporate their engagement pictures with greenery and stuff like that, something that's not floral, that's what I call fillers. So I always tell them do half and half.
Okay.
If you want to DIY some centerpieces, hey, Dollar Tree, they have a lot of vases. They have a lot of things that you can do, and you can get what you envision your event, but at a more affordable cost.
Right.
So I always educate my couples when it comes to that, because they can have, like, there's certain budgets, like, for instance, like, I don't know, like 15, 20,000, but they want floral arrangements or they want food at a certain price, but then they have a guest count of almost 200 guests.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
that's the most difficult, because I don't think a lot of people are aware how expensive things are.
It starts adding up.
Yeah, it starts adding up, and it's an investment. I actually I follow a lot of planners, like on TikTok and on Facebook and stuff. And one thing stood out from a planner that I follow, that she said that having an event is a privilege.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to even have a wedding or having a quinceañera. So, I think a lot of people need to be educated when it comes to their budget, because everything's so expensive now.
Yes.
It's investments. It's like saving money. I tell my couples, I won't book with them. Like, if I have to have them within a year, not anything more. Like for 2 years, I won't book anybody like that, because I always tell them, like, I had a client reach out to me and their event is not until like 2 years. So I always educate them. I was like, the first year, what you're wanting to do is save money. Save as much as you can. And then once you're in a year mark, then we can start talking about what packages we can offer you and stuff like that. But the wedding industry and quinceañeras too, man, it's almost like a wedding. I mean, it's expensive.
It is expensive.
And it's a privilege when you're able to afford such a big event. But yeah, your guest count determines everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So I've noticed that also, that a lot of clients, a lot of people out there, and everybody has different budgets.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how expensive an event can be in planning, right? You have to get the venue. You have to get the DJ, the photographer, the coordinator. You have to get those, right?
Yeah.
Those are must-haves. Then you have dinner. You have, some what I've seen now on trend. What's trending is the robots, the cadets, the horse and carriage, right? All these add-ons that just is adding on, right? And sometimes I feel that's great and all, but sometimes they sacrifice one thing for the other. So it could be, I want the cadets, but I have to lower my budget for, the decor or flowers, or whatever it may be, right? What do you suggest, besides planning, saving a lot of money? What are your top, let's just say 5 things that are, must-haves that you should not put a budget on?
One is photography.
Okay.
It's important because it's a big investment, and you want someone that knows what they're doing. I've seen a lot of times that, even because I'm part of some Facebook groups and stuff, where we have brides crying because the pictures are horrible. So the quality, it's like, you want to pay someone that is good. So you cannot negotiate when it comes to photography. Another thing too is like with decor, it's a little bit different because there's ways where you can do a couple of things more affordable. But I think that in your planner and catering too. But you can always find different things. But I think one of the biggest investment that you cannot negotiate is photography. And I'm not just saying that because you're a photographer.
Shout out to all the photographers out there.
No, I say it because even in my own experience too, for my wedding, like the biggest investment was my photographer. Because those are memories that are going to last a lifetime, a picture, a video. I mean, that's an investment that you do not want to negotiate. You don't want to. You just don't.
And when me and my wife got married, and I've told this to a couple people as well, the first thing that she said, I want a photographer. I want a really good one, and I don't care how much we pay. And at the time, I'm like, why? I wasn't a photographer when we got married. So when she's like, I want the best. So back then we looked for the best, and they were pricey. Pricey as in like $8,000 just for photography.
Yeah.
Right. And then on top of that, she wanted a videographer, and his services was like 4,000. I can't remember, but it was like almost $12,000.
Yeah.
Let's just say for those two vendors. And obviously we're trying to buy a house at the same time, right? Because I was like, we're going to get married. I do not want to move in to my parents, your parents, or an apartment or whatever. So that's it, right? So what did we do? We started building our own centerpieces and our own save the dates and everything that we could have done on ourselves, right? Because we were afraid to ask for padrinos, or godparents, or anybody.
My husband and I were the same.
I wasn't, and a lot of people were offering. We're like, if they offered, cool, but if we're not gonna be like, hey, be the padrino of the anillos or this and that. So we had to work our butts off. On top of that, save money for a house, right? So to this day, it's one of the best decisions that I let my wife do, and she makes a lot of good decisions. But today is because now my kids go back and look at the video, and I look way different in our video, and they laugh. And then there's certain things that I say in my video. They're like, "Why would you even say that?" I'm like, "I don't know."
You're so corny, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. Or the photos, they sit down and look at the album, which I have it in here, and I'll show it to you later. But they just go and they're like, "Oh my God, Mom was so younger. Dad, you look so younger." And I was like, okay, now I see why, because those pictures are amazing, and it's an heirloom that we're passing down to them.
Yeah.
And now that I'm doing it, I see the reason why it's important, like you say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that you also did mention something earlier, like TikToks and trends and educating. So I've seen on your social media pages that you love.
I'm trying.
No, and you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
But I see that you love to educate your clients.
Yes.
Why do you think that's important?
Because they need to, because I think they need to realize what it is to have an event. A lot of people don't know or like to share a couple of things, but my job as a coordinator is to educate them so they'll know where their money's going. A lot of people are not knowing like how much like catering or centerpieces are and stuff like that. So that's why I started doing my little educational videos. I just did one for marriage license.
Yes.
Because a lot of people forget, like, hey, it's not legit unless it's signed, sealed, and delivered. So just little things like that, because a lot of people don't pay attention. They just get all worked up, like getting excited. Oh, my wedding this and my wedding that. But then they don't know what they're getting into until they look at their bank account like, what the heck? Honey, what did you get? Who did you book? So it's important that they know, because there's ways to have a really nice wedding on a budget. Yeah. I mean, there's ways around it. Yes. Like for instance, like for my wedding, and we were so blessed for our wedding. We did get gifted a couple of things. But if you look at my wedding, you think like, man, that was what, like over 20 or 30,000, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. I just got really lucky, and I just know how to shop. Yeah. I researched and I compared and everything. So yeah.
And with technology and social media nowadays, it's easy to go and get inspiration through Pinterest or other people's social media. What they do, right?
Yeah, and YouTube is so helpful.
Well, there you go. Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I'm not there yet.
Not there yet. You got to work on it.
I know.
You gotta little tips and tricks, right? Every weekly tips, like what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
When I saw the video of the marriage license, I'm like, that is very true. Maybe a lot of people out there don't know that they need to go get that first, right?
Yeah.
Or they wait until the week of the wedding. They're like, because some Catholic churches do not let you get married unless you have your certificate already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's a process. You got to go through the courts. They got to in front of the judge, all that stuff, and that takes sometimes weeks
time
for you to get the actual document that you have to present to the church.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm glad that you're educating people out there.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what your next. Do you have any next tips that you're gonna show? You want to kind of give out a little bit, or wait?
Still working on it.
Still working on it. Okay. Well, we'll definitely be following. I love the whole story from how you started, from even your backstory from when you moved here from Costa Rica. What is one of the things that you would want to tell your younger self, or any person that wants to get into coordinating? Like, what are some of the things that you advise, some of the advice you want to give somebody before getting into all of this?
Really put yourself out there when it comes to networking. Reaching out to venues, reaching out to professionals that have been doing it for 20, 30 years. Setting up appointments and meeting just different people, getting educated by the pros. Because that's actually what I did. Like, I started calling a whole bunch of people, like, hey, can I meet with you? I'm starting my business, and and it's just really networking with people. Also, even you can even go to school. I am working on my certification for event planning. So
Really?
it's, yeah.
How long is that process?
Well, it depends. The course that I'm doing, it's basically where I can do it online from home because I don't have the time to go
Okay.
out. So it's like a self-paced
Okay.
type. But yeah, just kind of like educate, be part of groups like on Facebook and stuff of professionals, and just find someone that really inspires you, and research them, and even be bold enough to like write them an email like, hey, I want to start my coordinating business or my photography. Hey, how can I do it? And stuff like that. That's why when I met you and your wife, and when the first podcast that you guys did, man, that was so helpful. Like, so you need to put yourself out there and just kind of network and learn from others.
That's the whole purpose of
Yeah.
this podcast. I told myself that I don't want to be a gatekeeper, because whenever I came up as trying to be a photographer, where I am, trying to get where I'm at right now, there's a lot of photographers out there that don't pay you no attention,
Yeah.
don't want to help out.
Yeah.
Or, I send out emails and say, hey, can I come second shoot, or can I come hold your bags so I can kind of watch, and
Yeah.
never hear anything.
And
So
that's the sad part. I don't know why. I believe that there's a client for everyone, and you can learn from other
Yeah.
people, but I don't know why it's like that. I don't like that.
that's why I said we're going to build a community
Yeah.
over competition.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because you just said it, there's so much business for everybody that
Yeah.
not one person, not one photographer, not one DJ, not one planner, coordinator can just take everybody, right?
Yeah.
But if we all educate ourselves and do it the right way, then we can start eliminating these lower end that are bringing the industry down.
Yeah.
In the sense of, how can I say this? Because I'm not trying to insult anybody, right? And
Yeah.
I get it. There's a lot of photographers, for example, that will do an event for like free,
Yeah.
right? And that's somebody's story that you're capturing. And at the end, if the client's not happy,
Yeah.
well, it was for free, right? So we're trying to at least eliminate some of, make sure that we do it so that way, if everybody that gets into the industry of photography does it the right way,
Yeah.
goes through the right process, so that way they can know their value and market themselves at a higher level, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's important with coordinating as well, that you have to make sure that you're in communication with everybody
Yeah.
that's you're working with, because you want to elevate that person, because that's going to be your reflection at the end. If something something doesn't go as planned, or if the photographer didn't capture a special moment because the coordinator wasn't on top of
Yeah.
the timeline,
It's
you know
it's
what
a
I mean?
lot.
It has a ripple effect of
It does.
why it's so important that you do what you do, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. So I'm excited for you, and I'm
Thank
excited to
you.
see your business grow, and hopefully you stay super booked.
Yeah.
And then you go full time following your
I
passion,
know.
right?
That's my dream. That's in in my prayers.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Having my own business, having my team,
Okay.
which is actually in the works. So I just hired 2 assistants. So I'm excited about that. So they're going to be coming on board. 'Cause
Shout out to the assistants.
right. Well, in total, I have 3, but one of them is just, when I need a hand and stuff. But yeah, so I see myself with a team of really passionate bilingual Latinas.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Just working together and just helping couples and families and just being there.
Educating them, helping them with their
Yes.
budgets.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let the listeners know where they can find you on all the social medias and all that good stuff.
So my biggest platform now, even though I don't have a lot of followers, is my Instagram.
Okay.
So it's Perfect Unity Events. On there, you can find my website. You can find my TikTok account. You can find me through Instagram. Yeah.
Through Instagram. Okay. Yeah. Everybody go out and give Perfect Unity Events a follow on Instagram. Definitely want to make sure that you guys tune in to her TikToks. They're very educational. They are very informative. So if you're out there, bride, groom, parent of a quinceañera, trying to plan an event, definitely hit her up. Send her a message. Get in contact with her so that way you could book her services and make your life easier.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure. It was a good conversation.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And I can't wait to work the next event with you.
I know.
So that's it for the episode, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate all the love. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new from this episode. And until next time, peace.
Bye.
Adios.